Shalom. We'll start by giving all the praises, glory, and honor to YAHAWAH, BaHa, YAHAWASHI, BaHa, QADASH. Double honors to the elder apostles and bishops of the great millstone that rule well. Peace, blessings, and salutations unto the hopeful elect tabernacle of David scattered abroad throughout the four corners of the earth. To quote YAHAWASHI, he said, "The children of this world and their generation are wiser than the children of light." And, who are the children of light? The children of Israel. We have the light because we have this word. We know that the law is as a lamp and the commandment is as a light. But a lot of our people are in gross darkness in this day. And that's why, the Lord said, "Let your light shine before men." And we have this understanding through the spirit of YAHAWASHI, which is why we're making declarations, of the end of this wicked kingdom. The end of this man's rulership, because we have that sure word of prophecy, which is coming from the day star that shines in our heart. YAHAWASHI representing that day star. All right. So this Edomite, the scriptures tell you about how wise they are, even though they're wise on the left-hand side. It even says in Ezekiel 28, we always quote it, thou art wiser than devil. It's like that was Satan that made my tongue slip. But it says, "Thou art wiser than Daniel, and there is no secret that thou can hide from thee." And the fact that Esau can find out a lot of different things, which makes him wise, is because, he has the technology. All right, going back to Daniel 12, where the Lord said that many shall go to and fro and knowledge shall be increased. And so he has the means of technology to discover and find things out. And, everybody's very curious about the validity of the scriptures. They question, whether it's real or the stories and historical accounts in it. Is it verified? Is it literal? Is it mythical? It's one of the most discussed books on the planet Earth, and it's the most sold. There's another reason why you should stick to the Bible and the hell with the rest of this, the other books out there, the other literature. All right. Fine if you want to read, Bible dictionaries and, the Strong's Concordance and, stuff like that. You can get into that, but, getting into these other novel books and extra biblical texts and pseudepigraphas, leave it alone and just read the scriptures. All right, the Lord said it from the get-go that he declares the end from the beginning. All right. He commanded the prophets to write this in a book. All right, for no one of these shall fail, none shall want or make. Seek ye out of the book of the Lord and read. All right, but anyway, I want to respond to this video here. All right, on this show. And I guess this is a platform where they discuss, the Bible. And this is dealing with the account of Sodom and Gomorrah and how society over the years, a lot of people have written off, in secular history, they've written it off as it being a mythical story. Those cities never really existed. They're mythical cities. And then you have the Christian standpoint where they believe that the cities did exist, but they existed in a different location than where the Bible actually locates them. And then this guy that they have on the platform, he actually did his digging and research, and he used the Bible as a geological map, so to speak. All right. And the Bible is that way, where the Lord leaves certain details in the scriptures, in the historical accounts. There's actual cities that you'll read about, and you can actually go and look up, and you'll see that those cities do exist, even if they're named if they're under a different name. So we know that cities over the years, the names of those cities don't always stay the same. So this Edomite, who appears to be an Edomite, he really did his search. And that's how we ought to be. We have to, go in. This is why you got to delve into them scriptures, man. Study to show thyself approved. Some of these Edomites, they know more than a lot of Jake that call themselves Israelites, man, because they really delve and dig right into it. But anyway, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play some of this so y'all can listen. It's pretty interesting. All right, and a lot of people, especially in this day and age, because you can't even talk about topics like this. All right, the world has gone that far left that you can't even, have thorough discussions about this. But a lot of people, they don't really want to believe it because it's evidence. It's a token of, things that occurred in the past that will follow through again if it ever occurs again. And that's what the Lord, all right, put out there. And when you read scriptures like this, we always get it. When we talk about what happened in Sodom and Gomorrah, and we compare it to how the people are behaving to this day, a lot of people don't want to accept it, because then they will have to consider, and people don't want to change. They feel comfortable in their rebellion. They feel comfortable in, the lust of their flesh. So this is Jude 1:7. It says, even as Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities about them in like manner giving themselves over to fornication and going after strange flesh are set forth for an example, suffering the vengeance of eternal fire. Set forth an example, meaning the Lord left this as a token. If you want to behave like them people behaved in that city, go right ahead. But this is what happened to them. And that in those cities, that area never bounced back. That's how extraordinary the destruction was on those cities. And the Lord left evidence of, so that you even got archaeologists, verifying it. And we don't need the evidence. We have faith. All right, what is the definition of faith? The substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Okay. So let's listen to some of this.
First is, why do you believe that you have found the actual city of Sodom and that it's located on the northeast edge of the Dead Sea, and that it's not what Albright said and then others after him on the southern side? But the other thing is, what happened to this city that even secular scholars or scholars that are not biblical believers, they're not followers of Jesus Christ, have said a massive cataclysmic airburst happened that fried everything in that area and left it barren for 700 years. These two elements, I think, are critical to people understanding, are you right? So let's start with the location.
There isn't a single site, archaeological site in the southern Dead Sea region that dates in the time of Abraham.
Really?
Every single site down there was completely out of business due to climate change by around 2,500 BC. That's 500 years at least from the very earliest time that Abraham can be placed in history.
So you can start by, your premise then is, you start by ruling out that there could be something there because there is nothing there.
Right. And no archaeologist would disagree with what I just said.
And why would they put a city in a place that potentially could get flooded and the city would be overwhelmed, right?
Yeah, if you put it where Albright said, down in the Dead Sea Southern Basin. He said perhaps the cities were there, and when God destroyed it, maybe there was an earthquake and the ground sank and the Dead Sea flooded over it. Well, now the Dead Sea is dry. And archaeologists go down there and look around. There isn't sherd one. You know, are diamonds forever? Yes, but sherds are too. They never go away, right? And so there are no towns there. Why would you build a settlement in what is essentially a sump when every time it rains, it's going to flood in?
The other element, which is, while we didn't call it the Dead Sea in the Bible, it was called the Salt Sea. There wasn't anything growing down there. It wasn't like a flourishing, teeming, this is where you'd build a metropolis. But of course, this whole region of the Jordan River Valley was so amazing that it was almost the Middle Eastern equivalent of the Nile or the let's say the Mississippi River. I mean, this was so gorgeous and so lush that Lot himself said, "I would like that territory. If we're going to divide Abraham and me, that's the territory I want because it's so fertile."
Yes, and
but that's the northern.
Let me give you a thumb.
And that makes sense. When Abraham and his nephew Lot split, we know that Abraham, he went over to Canaan, and Lot went where he went. He wasn't gonna go to where it was just desolate and it wasn't no resources. The man had wealth where he was staying at, so Sodom and Gomorrah and them cities, they had to be plush cities, man, flourishing. That's why, and it attracted people, civilians. People came to live there. Okay, it was pretty much like a paradise. Okay, Sin cities, just like Vegas is, man. You think because Vegas is centered around a desert that it would be impossible for it to be what it is, but you come here and we had bodies of water. We had Lake Mead, which is has been declining the past few years in its elevation, but we had water sources. Just we got trees, we got a water system, we got lights. It's inhabitable, So yeah.
Nail of the geography of the Jordan. Now these are called the cities of the plain. The Kikar, the circle of the Jordan. Of the Jordan. What does the Jordan mean? It means the descending or the descent of what? The fresh water. Okay, the Dead Sea is the dead part of the Rift Valley. The Jordan is the living water part of the Rift Valley. Here's what the Old Testament says. You could put 25 or 30 different scripture verses together here and come up with what I'm about to say. The Bible clearly says that the Jordan, the descending, ends at the Bay of the Dead Sea, at the mouth of the Jordan, below Pisgah, which is Nebo. That's north of the Dead Sea. So this is a lock. And when we talk about Lot and Abraham parting ways, where were they? They were at Bethel and Ai. It says that Lot, and that's 12 miles north of Jerusalem. So they were at Bethel and Ai. It says Lot lifted up his eyes and looked over and saw that the whole plain of the Jordan was well watered like the garden of God, like Egypt. Had a river running through it. It overflowed its banks. It was a little Nile in miniature. It was this beautiful as you described.
So what that's saying is, like what I just said, it was flourishing. It was inhabitable. People can go and live there, and you can live well. It had his water system, body of water. It had little rivers. It had a lot of greenery. Matter of fact, let's go to the scripture that he said. Let's go to Genesis 13. And it's critical in how, as it relates to how the Lord always said that when he judges Babylon, he compares it to what he did to Sodom and Gomorrah, right? So understanding this fact, this is how you know that, with America being one big, paradise, if you will. To us it ain't, but, just simply saying, it is inhabitable. They got its cities, it got its business districts. People, they eat, drink, they marry. We have bodies of water in it, so on and so forth. Well, Sodom and Gomorrah, the Lord just completely obliterated it. and to the point where you actually have to go and find it and use, you know, evidence of things just to try to discover it. So that's what the Lord's going to do to America. America's going to go from being one big paradise, and, you know, it's inhabited, got trees, got gardens, you know, fields, even though Esau is destroying it right now. But, you know, that's what this place, you know, flourished as for a while. All right. But when the Lord handles this place, he's going to leave it with no trace, just like he did Sodom and Gomorrah, you know. So this is Genesis 13:10. It says, and Lot lifted up his eyes and beheld all the plain of Jordan, that it was well watered everywhere. So they had, you know, good vegetation and crops. All right. And it says, before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, even as the garden of the Lord, you know, which, you know, the Levant, Fertile Crescent, that was the garden of the Lord, the Garden of Eden, the Garden of Paradise. It was well watered. You see? Now, yeah, the scriptures do use spiritual comparisons to, you know, being watered with this knowledge, with this word. You know, those that are planted by the river shall be as, what was that? I think it's in Psalms, you know, because there's, you know, spiritual analogies as well. All right. I think it was what Isaiah 44 is one. Yeah, Isaiah 44 and 3, for I will pour water upon him that is thirsty and floods upon the dry ground. I will pour my spirit upon thy seed and my blessing upon thine offspring, showing you that the water and the spirit are interchangeable. All right. It says, and they shall spring up as among the grass, as willows by the water course. And I think there's another one in Psalms, I think. Yeah, Psalms 1 and 2, it says, but his delight is in the law of the Lord, and his law doeth he meditate day and night, and he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season, and his leaf also shall not wither, and whithersoever he doeth shall prosper. And that's talking about the elect. All right. This is the fruit in the Lord's garden, the Lord's vineyard. All right. The Lord's, you know, and the Lord's the one that plants them. And the Lord is, well, really, you know, the Lord uses men to sow the seed, to plant and water, and the Most High gives the increase. But this is using an analogy of men, you know, men in the truth. But we're speaking in a literal sense because we're talking about Sodom and Gomorrah, those ancient cities. So it's describing how well watered it was. You know, it was fruitful, it was inhabitable. You know, it had you know, rivers and stuff like that going through it. So I'm pretty sure them cities were actually decent, you know, places, man. It says, even as the garden of the Lord. And this is also a cut to IUIC, who's now teaching the heresy that the garden is talking about the spiritual realm. It ain't talking about the spiritual realm, man. Yeah, the Lord uses the term paradise in regards to, you know, the third heaven or the spiritual realm. You know, when he told that malefactor on the cross, I think to his right, that, you know, this day you'll be with me in paradise. And then Paul also uses it as well when he said he was caught up into paradise. But there's a paradise on earth. And that was, you know, basically the Fertile Crescent, man. Okay. You know, it's known for its resources. All right, good soil. You know, good crops and vegetation. You know, the Lord talk about in the blessings how, you know, our baskets and storehouses would be blessed. The bread of our baskets, you know, we will be, you know, fruitful. You know, we have the corn, the grains and all that, because our land would be well watered. But if the Lord gave you no rain, you would dry out, you know, famine, which is a curse. So it says, like the land of Egypt, and Egypt was known for its blessing. You know, they flourished for 7 years and they brought in abundance. And the Spirit came on Joseph, you know, showing you the wisdom that he had, you know, because the Lord, you know, he deals with his people. He gives them the wisdom. You know, he had to give them dreams and visions, and he was able to help Egypt flourish. All right, everybody flocked to Egypt to buy grain and the things that they need for the famine, the dearth. So Sodom and Gomorrah, all right, was plush, just like the garden was, just like Egypt was. It says, as thou comest unto Zoar. All right, so this was the state of Sodom and Gomorrah before the Lord destroyed all of it. All right, so he used this in his assessment to go and start digging, and you know, he came up with what he came up with. All right, and they can very well be the actual account. All right, does this mean that Esau's a man of the Lord because he was able to read the scriptures and find this out? No, the scriptures already told you that they're wiser than Daniel. There's no secret, you know. And hey, even the Lord said, let me get this in Luke 8. And knowledge is increasing in these last days, man. You're finding out that the word of the Most High is faithful and true. Luke 8:17 says, for nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad. So it's all coming out. So you people out here wilding and living lawless and, blaspheming the Heavenly Father and denouncing his word. You know, you people in that reprobate spirit, the Lord got you in a trick bag, man. All right. Right now, you're blinded by your lust and, you know, what you're doing in your body. But as soon as you have to answer to it. 2 Peter 2:6 says, and turning the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah into ashes, condemned them with an overthrow, making them an example unto those that after should live ungodly, and deliver just Lot, vexed with the filthy conversation of the wicked. For that righteous man dwelling among them, and seeing and hearing, vexed his righteous soul. And this is same thing happening over in hey, there's no new thing under the sun. All right, but now the righteous men of the Lord, all right, they're just as vexed, if not more, because it's even worse now. This devil, he giving them the power. He signed legislation to protect them. He's protecting their right to do this wickedness. And if you speak against it, that becomes a crime. You know, I said this at camp, I think either last camp or the camp before last. Only this devil would make it law to be lawless. And that's what you see happening. But that shows you that the man of sin is being revealed. All right. It says, for that righteous man dwelling among them and seeing and hearing, and vexed his righteous soul from day to day with their unlawful deeds. The Lord knoweth how to deliver the godly out of temptations, and to reserve the unjust unto the day of judgment to be punished. And they're just, carrying on in their wickedness, acting like the Most High didn't do these things in the past. But the evidence is already there. But the Lord got them in a trick bag, and, they're, walking blindly, not even considering that they're just being reserved until the day to be judged, to be punished. You see? It says, but chiefly them that walk after the flesh of the lust of uncleanness, and that's these people, and despise government. They don't want nobody ruling over them. They don't want any standards, no dominion, no rule. People just want to be self-governed. They want to, the God of their God is basically their belly. So they're governed based off of the lust of their flesh. It says, presumptuous are they, self-willed. They are not afraid to speak evil of dignities. The main dignitary being the Most High. All right. So these people got it coming. All right. And what was interesting, going back to Genesis 13, where it talks about how it was well guarded, it was well watered, like the garden of the Most High, like Egypt, right? Which basically describing a paradise. So Sodom and Gomorrah, Zeboim, Admah, Zoar, those cities, they were a paradise, right? Well, what we know is when the Lord rained with fire and brimstone on it, it took that away. Well, the same thing is going to happen to Babylon when the missiles hit. This is why it's being compared to how the Lord overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah, because in the fashion that he's going to wipe this place out. All right, this is Joel 3. No, actually, I think it's, no, I meant to go to 2. The Joel 2 and verse 1, it says, blow ye the trumpet in Zion and sound an alarm in my holy mountain, and let the inhabitants of the land tremble. For the day of the Lord cometh, for it is nigh at hand. A day of darkness and of gloominess. A day of clouds and of thick darkness. It's going to be a terrible day, man. All right. People going to be distressed, depressed. All right. It's just going to be, people going to be in a state of, calamity, misery, anguish. It says, as the morning spread upon the mountains, a great people and a strong, there have not been ever the like. Neither shall be any more after it, even to the years of many generations. It's going to be no day like it. All right. You could read that in Daniel 12. It talks about how Michael, the archangel, is going to have to stand for us, because that day is going to be no day like it, man. It says, a fire devoureth before them, and behind them a flame burneth. It's talking about the missile. The land is as the Garden of Eden before them. It was well watered. It was flourishing. It was inhabitable. Right? They had resources. And behind them a desolate wilderness. So basically, after the fire devours it, it becomes a desolate wilderness. Yeah, and nothing shall escape them. And that's all these people that's living ungodly. They will not escape it. All right. We know this chapter is describing how the missile is going to come in a formation like, men of war. And they're going to devour this place. All right. That's why the Lord makes that comparison. All right. And you see Russia's in the news. They're considering, bringing their nuclear arsenals out. It's getting to that point. Well, that's the Lord putting the spirit in them Russians and their allies. And they're going to do the deeds, and it's going to leave this place like he did Sodom and Gomorrah, basically line up right with what the prophecies say. All right. Isaiah 13:17, behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall delight in it. Their bows also shall dash the young men to pieces, and they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb. Their eyes shall not spare children. And Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldeans, excellency, shall be as when the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. And you can read this also in Isaiah 34. All right. You can read this in Jeremiah 49, Jeremiah 50, and Jeremiah 51. They all make the comparison of how Esau, Edom, Basra is going to be destroyed. Babylon, virgin daughter of Babylon, which is all the same. It's all describing the same event. That's how we know it's talking about this place. All right, so these people can be proud all they want, but the evidence, along with the prophecy, shows that that's what's going to happen to this place. So there was an interesting video here. All right, and what I'm going to do is let me copy the link to it so I can leave it in the description box. And I hope y'all were edified, and I'm going to give all praise, glory, and honor to YAHAWASHI. To the next lesson, Shalom.